Perfect. Let's kick it off. So, welcome for everyone who's dropping in as well to our third session around the contact center. Today is going to be a somewhat more compact version of a session. We're going to take a look at provisioning, ALM, OLM, and some diagnostics in there as well. Again, just like any other time, if you have questions, please do raise your hand or interrupt me. That's absolutely fine. It is the intention of having an interactive discussion and for me to answer all of your questions. For the people who don't know me, my name is Peter. I work at Capgemini in the Netherlands, and my work revolves mostly around customer service and contact center nowadays. So I'm deeply invested in this as well. Let's kick it off with some diagnostics. So diagnostics is a bit of a tricky thing, just like ALM and OLM is, as you will see in the next coming slides. It's a bit of a tricky thing, and that is because there's so many things attached to the omni-channel instance, to the contact center instance, that it makes it hard. It makes it hard to debug. It makes it hard to have copy over environments or copy over organizations, and that makes it hard to diagnose any problems, right? So what we want to do, what Microsoft is trying to do and trying to move forward to, is to have tooling in place that allows you to diagnose and yourself, right? To troubleshoot the issues on your own. Having the autonomy to do that, making sure that you can diagnose it speedily, that you can find the cause of any issues rapidly. Of course, there's reliability that is underneath everything, right? But also create your own dashboarding, having customizable dashboards, and extend that with other information as well. This was really hard. Right. So for people who have any experience with contact center or customer service with the voice add-in, if there is an issue with voice, and that could be all sorts of things, right? Could be that it's the external carrier that has a problem. Could be that in ACS there's a problem. Doesn't matter. Somewhere along the whole line of things that happens before a call comes in, something goes wrong. It is really tricky to debug, because it's basically a black box up until now, right? So that's what we're trying to showcase. The diagnostic vision, as I said, it is to get everyone a single pane of glass that allows you to look into that diagnostic world and troubleshoot your own issues really, really fast. And we do that through a diagnostic approach, which revolves around that visibility, around the insights, and around recommendations. Because now what Microsoft did is we got application insights. So application insights or app insights was already a thing in Azure. It's used for many web applications, for many code runs to quickly map out where any issues might occur, right? And now they expanded the capabilities of application insights and allow you to actually attach all of your data to that application instance. And for people who don't know what that is, it is basically a service in Azure that allows you to go and dive into the raw logging of every event that is happening and get all of the details around that specific step. Because application insights is already a really great service in Azure as it is, it allows you to get that information, attach it to Power BIs to create your own dashboarding around it if you wish. Right? I'm going to look at that all in a few seconds. So as of today, or not as of today, it is available today. We have a bunch of different events that are all logged into application insights. Mind that you first have to turn this on. So this is off by default. If you want to turn it on, you have to configure this, and we'll see that in the next little video that I have after this one. But if you do it, you get a few events, like when does the conversation start? When is the customer identified? When did an agent take it over? Did an agent reject it? What happened with the call after that? So there's a bunch of different events that are being logged to that application insights, right? And all the duration, all of what happens in between, of everything around it is logged. So as you can see, the org ID, the work item ID, what kind of channel did he came into, was it started, failed, or completed? All of that stuff that I really want to know if I'm debugging is in there. So this already saved my butt a few times when trying to, well, see what went wrong somewhere. Let's take a look at a little video that shows this and how to configure it. Let me see, did I share it? I'm sharing my screen again with audio. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Otherwise you can't hear anything.
If you manage a contact center and have ever wished that you could detect hindrances before they became problems and do something proactively about it, this feature may help you. Customers wanting greater visibility into their conversation-based operational telemetry can now access the underlying information self-service through App Insights, an extension of Azure Monitor. In addition to facilitating proactive system monitoring, this would also empower developers and IT professionals to easily identify and diagnose problematic conversations, helping self-remediate where applicable or for seeking swift support. Let's take a look at how this works. The first step is to create your data export package from Dynamics Customer Service into Application Insights. This can be done through the Power Platform Admin Center through a quick series of guided steps while subscribing to system telemetry for a core set of conversation lifecycle events across the channels you use. Start by selecting the environment you want to obtain data for and associate an Application Insights instance with it. You can choose an existing instance or create a new one as needed. Once this is done, review and submit. It's that simple. Once the connection is created, you should be able to see the data export added in your Power Platform admin page. Now that the connection is established, let's switch context to see how this works in real time. We're going to follow an ongoing live chat conversation where a customer, Jacob, has an inquiry. They use the live chat widget to initiate a conversation request and are greeted by a virtual agent. Upon registering their wish to speak to a human agent, the virtual agent escalates the chat to the system to route it to a suitable human agent. This chat request, internally, gets routed to an agent A who rejects the assignment because it's outside of their working hours and they're about to log off. The system then reroutes this chat to another available agent who accepts and addresses the customer's request. If we consider each business event happening during this chat conversation as an operation, its corresponding conversational telemetry is being sent by customer service to App Insights in real time behind the scenes. This includes scenarios such as the initialization of the conversation by the customer, assignment of the virtual agent to the chat, followed by escalation and routing of the chat to a human agent only to be rejected by the first one and then accepted by the second, all through to the resolution of the conversation. We're back to App Insights now, logged in as a developer, and tracing steps from Jacob's conversation. Every business event is available as an operation with its corresponding details available as metadata, such as the conversation channel type, scenario success or failure, start and end time, duration, etc. This data can be aggregated and exported in real time to build and power customized dashboards that indicate operational health of ongoing conversations, as well as help with historical analysis, volumes, latency, behavioral.
Okay, that's the end of this video. I'm very sorry for the quality of the sound. I don't know who put that AI voice on there and put that horrible music in the background, but it gives a nice overview on what is actually being logged, right? And that is what it's all about. As I said, I had quite some issues when we first started out with customer contact center. When we combined that with an actual external carrier that put the calls into a session border controller, and from the session border controller came to our Azure communication service that is underneath it as well. Right, so finding out what happens in which stage is crucial if you want to get to the bottom of this. Microsoft has a team of engineers that are really invested in getting the quality up and running at enterprise level. They just upgraded the platform. So 2 months ago, we now support 10,000 concurrent calls per organization, right? So that was 1,500, and now it's 10,000 concurrent calls. So scale-wise, we should be good. Quality-wise, I haven't seen any issues since, but mind, obviously, this is a crucial and a critical thing, right? Phone for an organization is something that just should work, just like water coming out of your tap. It should work without you thinking about it, and this is what that does. If this is what gives you that insight, if it doesn't. Perfect. Let's step into lifecycle management. The lifecycle management was also a big thing or a big issue on the contact center side of things, or customer service plus voice add-ins, right? So if we take a look at application lifecycle management, what we usually want to do is build all of those solutions, make sure that we have all of the stuff that we need and all of our configuration that we need on a dev environment, pull that through to a test or an expectation, and then to a production environment. And that usually is done by using Azure DevOps or any other CI/CD pipeline. This didn't work up until, well, a few months back, because there's a lot of things that are not solution aware. And solutions are basically the zip files that we take from one environment to the other environment, basically with all of the configuration in it, and then move that from one to the other. And why it didn't work is because there's so many things attached to that specific configuration that if you move it, you need to update that. Think, for example, as an example, a phone number that is attached to it, right? I can't have a phone number attached to two exactly or two different installations. A phone number can only come into one. So if I move it and I have that configuration of phone number one into instance one, and I move it over to instance two, what do I do with that, right? So there were a bunch of those things happening. And what Microsoft did over the past few months is really, really invest in making everything solution aware, right? So everything that we can now configure, all of the entities, all of the conversation entities, all of the client entities, they are now solution aware, meaning that we can put those and the configuration in that in a zip file and move it over to those other environments. That also means that we can scale. We can quickly and reliably copy all of the configuration data from one to the other. And if I want to spin up another instance for a test group or a proof of concept project within the same organization, I can quickly do that, right? And because we do it through ALM, it is much more reliable now that we don't have to do that manually, because basically people are really bad at doing things in a specific order, especially if it's a long list of things to do. Mind that before we had all this, before this was in place, when I needed to copy over or create a new instance of the customer contact center and reconfigure that, that would take me as an experienced user around 4 to 5 hours, right? So that is how much time we save every time we do a copy or a implementation through the life cycle. And we got a little bit of a video on that as well.
Today, we are going to demo the new Application Lifecycle Management, or in short, ALM process for omnichannel, specifically omnichannel chat. The demo will show how we can leverage Power Platform Solution Framework to move chat configurations from one environment to another. Customers need to test their channel and routing configurations in a test environment, ensuring that they meet their reliability metrics and business needs prior to deploying to production. Once satisfied with these results, customers expect to easily migrate configurations from test to production environment. But before this new process, customers were advised to use the configuration migration tool to migrate configurations between environments. But that process is manual, lengthy, and error-prone. Customers needed to create schema files, select explicitly the entities and their attributes, and replace the lookup references in the exported data. Due to the manual nature of the previous process, customers reported issues to Microsoft and had to wait for a resolution to the matter. In the new ALM process, we are leveraging the Power Platform Solution Framework to automate ALM and significantly reduce customer pain. Another benefit of using the solution framework is that it enables version management of the configuration data, similar to code versioning. Now, let's demonstrate how the new process works. For the purpose of this demo, we have a source environment with chat channel configured. We will show how to export the chat configuration out and then import it into the destination environment. It is important that the two environments have the same version of solutions. To begin, we are now in our source environment where we have a pre-configured chat workstream with defined behaviors, user features, and routing rules. We want to export this configuration because we feel it's ready and we've tested it. So we're going to go to advanced settings. From there, we have to go to the solutions list. Once there, we have to create an unmanaged solution. Let's give it any name, give it any publisher and version, then click save. Once it is saved, then using the Add Existing option, you have to locate the chat widget. Once you click on it, a dialog box will open, which will display all the existing chat configurations records on the source environment. For the purpose of this demo, we will work with the ALM live chat demo record. So select it and click OK. Once hitting OK, you'll see a number of records displayed. These represent some of the items associated with a chat configuration like workstream, routing configuration, etc. After confirming all the records are properly reflected, we can close out the window. The next step is to export this unmanaged solution out as a managed solution using the export option. It is important to select the manage option here and then click export. Once it is exported, we have to go to the destination environment, and here we have to go to advanced settings option and again go to the solutions list. And now using the import option, we have to import the managed solution, which was exported out from our source environment. So we select it, and by keeping the default option, we click on import. We will skip import because we have already done this for the demo. And as you can see here, we have already exported the ALM live chat demo solution on the destination environment. Once this is done, we go back to the admin center, and here in the workstream list, we can see that the live chat demo workstream record, which was created on our source environment and imported here, is starting to show up. So we can click inside and see that it has the same chat configurations, behavior, user features, and routing configurations on this record. As part of this process, we ensure that the chat configuration is ready to use on the destination environment upon import. During the import of the managed solution, we modify certain environment-specific values in the live chat widget script. For example, if you click Edit and go to the Chat Widget tab and check out the live chat widget script, it has certain environment-specific fields which are relevant to this destination environment and are different from the source environment values, for example, the ID and the URL. This ensures that you can directly use it for the purpose of creating a chat widget. And so to recap what we have just done, we had a chat channel configured in our source environment, and we wanted to move it to our destination environment. This is a typical use case we see with admins testing everything in a user acceptance testing environment, feeling satisfied with the system messages and routing, and now wanting to move it to a production environment. With this new ALM process, admins can easily lift and shift this chat configuration in a more efficient manner. We know this process will have many benefits for our customers, and we are excited to be sharing it with you. Thank you so much. Today,
so what we saw here is obviously it says November 2023. That is when it was announced. It's just gone live like 2 months back, so it's pretty new. And yes, you can see the old classic UI there in there. It works faster in most of the things that we do. Of course, you're gonna be forced into the new UI more and more, right? So the classic UI is gonna disappear at some point. There was a question from Facile. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit, Facile, because your question is it the recommendation to have a separate solution for the solution-aware data, but not the config? I think you mean the do I need to unmute you? I think you can unmute yourself, but let's give everyone allow the mic for attendees. There you go. And now you can.
Yeah, thanks. Now it's possible. Yeah, I mean, we are currently also working on stuff like that. And what we've noticed, for example, is that when we are migrating, for example, the app profile or the agent experience profile, basically, that sometimes there are things which are not let's say, deployed in the best possible way. That's why I was asking whether there is any guidance from Microsoft that we should see, let's say, pure customer service configuration separate from what we see as, let's call it data, even though it's also config, but more, let's say, the data side. For example, I don't know, we have also ARCA rules, automatic creation update rules. Like, should those be also in a separate solution?
Yeah, so that's what Microsoft is moving forward to. So you can see that what happened now with chat is if you do it like this, like a small wizard pops up that adds all of the different dependencies as well. So the work stream, and let me see if I can get that to the point where they do that. So if you do this, you add it, and you click one here, you see that everything that is needed for that lives inside of that chat specific thing is added as well. And that is, if we do that manually, we all have to do that ourselves, and just takes the config, and this takes all of the settings of that config as well. So literally the values. So we're going to see more and more of this, and this is going to be more user friendly, right? So this is early days to get that config up and running for you. But for ARCA rules, there is already, that is almost done. There's already something in place, and we'll see that in a few slides. Literally everything has been done, but queues. So we'll get to that in a few slides.
Okay. Because currently we have a rather complex runbook to get everything up and running, and also like we were also using the rather new feature with the inbox, where you have different views, and also like those were a bit tricky to migrate, so we're running some data migration utility to get them correctly in the upper environments.
Yeah, and that's what the video also says, right? We used a configuration data migration tool for that, which was always iffy already, right? And so having a data migration plan is currently the way to go, but that is going to change real soon. So we'll see this happening in more and more of a wizard style in the coming period.
Okay, good to know we're still not on prod, so we can split the the solution still in config and in kind of the data part of it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay,
today we are going.
So, as I already was saying, so this is now in production. So the thing that you just saw, you can use in production. All of the omnichannel capabilities and entities are now solution aware, but queues. So queues is the final thing. So all of the stuff that you saw here is now also live on Learn. There's public docs now. There are some known issues. Those are on the Learn as well. But queues. So queues is something that they're still really working hard on. And that is because all of the unified routing and the configuration behind it is fairly complex. So that is coming, and that is coming really soon. I expect somewhere in the January, February release. So that is the time span, right? It's nearby, but it's not there. So mind that if you do this, then you still have to do some manual steps. And that is obviously, well, let's keep to the next slide. That is still going to be the case, right? So if we take a look at how to copy a whole organization, right? So an organization, like I'm copying it over, perhaps I need another pilot group, I have another project that I want to run it on, or I have a totally different new environment. I want to copy over that. That usually took me, as I said, 4 to 5 hours to actually create the work streams, create the queues, all of the priority rules, all of the classification rules, all of that stuff, add the phone numbers, connect it back to the ACS. It's a lot of configuration that needs to be done. And if you copied over that organization, you saw that a lot of things that I couldn't even do were not working anymore. So I don't know if any of you ever restored an organization that was horrible because the presence wasn't loading properly. Basically, everything that you had to do to get that working again was to deprovision and reprovision omni-channel on that environment. And then suddenly the processes in the back end, they would make sure that all of that config was up and running again. Not great. The same thing was happening with, for example, the chat widget. You now saw that new process updated that snippet before it had the organization ID from the old environment in there, which wasn't great because I, as an experienced user, know that I have to regenerate that. If you don't know any of that, you will copy over a chat widget that is not pointing to the right environment, but to a different environment. Obviously, you won't get any interactions then, right? So dangerous as well. So now after this go live, all of that stuff is correctly copied. All of the chat widgets are now regenerated automatically. And all of the other channels, so obviously there's a bunch of stuff that they can't automate, right? For example, as I said, the phone number. If you have a phone number attached to the old organization, I can't point that to the new organization. I can only have a phone number to point it to one, right? So what is happening there is that it will copy over that stuff, but then you need to reconfigure it. So it will be there in like a please configure state, but you won't have to do it from scratch. So now it will just take you a few clicks, right? Instead of making or having the appearance of it working well, but in the background doesn't work at all, right? So 80% of the time is actually reduced now for all channels, and that is really a great thing. What is not yet done, as I said, they're still working on a lot of enhancements for all the remaining channels. It's not yet done for the restoration of an organization. So it just works for copying over a org and not for restoring it from backup. So mind that if you do that, then you still have to deprovision and reprovision and do all of the steps. It's a tedious process. That is on the roadmap, but it takes a little bit of time. And then for the final part, I got a little video to show you that in practice as well.
Today, we will go through the demo of copy environment with omnichannel for customer service. Copy environment feature is very useful when customers need a sandbox environment to test integrations, do user acceptance testing, or provide training to users with production environment settings, but without affecting production. In this video, we will see how this feature helps to quickly and easily copy settings such as queues, routing rules, work streams, etc., from one environment to another, saving customers the time and effort. Earlier, when customers perform copy environment, they had to manually deprovision and reprovision omnichannel for it to be working on the target. This process took about 5 hours. Once that was done, customers had to reconfigured all the channels in the target environment for them to be functional. This also led to customers reporting issues to Microsoft and having to wait for a resolution on that matter. With the new process, once copy environment is done, omnichannel is functional in the target environment within an hour, resulting in 80% time savings. In addition to this, the chat channel configurations, like live chat with scripts, are automatically updated for the target environment, and customers could then update the new chat widget snippets onto their website and start using it. This is a significant benefit to the customers as live chat and UR serve over 80% of the traffic in omnichannel today. Customers do still have to reconfigure other channels in the target environment. Now, let us demonstrate the process. For the purpose of the demo, we have a source environment and the target environment with chat channel enabled. It is important that both source and target environments have the same set of channels enabled prior to copy. As we can see, the source org here has a pre-configured workstream with live chat widget, queue, source queue, and other settings. Now, we would want to copy over all of these settings to the target environment. To do that, we go to the Power Platform Admin Center, select the source environment, and click on Copy. In the Copy Environment tab, we select the sandbox environment onto which we would want to perform the copy. Now we click on Copy, and once we click on Confirm, the copy operation starts. We will look at a target environment on which a copy operation was already performed from the same source environment. As we can see, the source workstream and other settings from the source have already been copied onto this target environment. If we look at the chat widget, we will see that the information has been updated to point to the target environment. Customers could directly copy this new chat widget and update it on their website to start using this. As we can see, it is this way we can copy over the settings from the source environment to target environment. For other channels, the channel-specific workstreams need to be updated with the reconfigured channels for them to be working. So this is how we perform the copy environment with omnichannel for customer service. Thank you very much for watching the demo.
Well, let me stop sharing. So what you saw here is obviously a visual representation of what I just told you. So there's a bunch of things happening. Chat is a very well supported channel. Voice is a little bit more tricky to actually copy over, but you'll see that everything gets more solution aware. So that means now we can also copy over all of the Copilot Studio stuff that is happening with it, voice bots, all of the Copilot chat bots, all of the Copilot interactions that you might have as an addition to the Copilot in Dynamics or in your customer contact center, work streams, classification, skill-based routing, all of that stuff that we had to redo every time that we wanted to pull that into an environment. You can now do that with this. And copy over an org is obviously a big step, right? You copy over everything, but you can see that the stuff that is happening underneath, all of the steps that we need to do to make it work, to, for example, re-update or regenerate that chat widget, is now being put in place into that import mechanism, right? So that is being done for all of the stuff individually as well. So not only can we copy over the whole org, which is great, it saves me a lot of time, also to create, for example, new proof of concepts or pressure cooking projects, so to speak. Also, if we want to do that for just the work streams, we can do that now as well, right? So for the classification. Are there any questions? Because this is a way more technical session than the last ones. The next one is going to be more of a configuration of the voice and the messaging channels that we have. This is obviously a more technical one. As Henry already mentioned, it is a really nice way to create an accelerator. We're actually in the works to create some standard CI/CD pipelines to do these specific steps, Henry. So that is something that I will be able to share in a few weeks or so. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? No? Perfect. And with that, then, as I said, this is a short session today. I'll give you back a little bit of your time. Please join us for the next one where we go into setting up all of the voice channels, setting up all of the classifications and the skill-based routing, etc. We have a deep dive on routing and unified routing later on as well. So we got voice still left, we got messaging left, and we got extending and routing as our final session there. I hope to see you then. Again, as always, this recording will be added to the YouTube playlist that we have. Slides will be shared. If you don't have access, I'll put the URL in the chat in just a few moments, and then you can review all of the earlier sessions as well. Thanks for joining, and until next week.